No charge.
Come on,
I was
he's
above
one
100.
full
I was at
god.
100, actually.
Oh, you were at 100?
I was at 100. I was at full health.
You sure it was a no-scope?
Yeah, it was a no-scope. I didn't see him zoom in. He had his melee out.
Let's go back in, buddy! Yeah! I killed two NGs and took down their dispensers, baby!
He shot me in the head.
Henshina
Like,
go-go, baby!
Hey y'all, the Game Raider 10 here, and welcome back to another episode of Team Fortress 2. In the last episode, we covered the most annoying class the Badlands has to offer, the Sniper. In this episode...
Hey! Stupid bloody impersonators. Anyway, hello guys, I'm the Game Raider 10, and welcome back to more Team Fortress 2. In the last episode, we looked at the sharpshooting outbacker himself, the Sniper. In this episode, let me tell you about the greatest trick the devil ever pulled, convincing the world he didn't exist. The devil always portrays himself as a picture of beauty, as an angel of light who's on your side. Then when he gets his chance, he'll stab you right in the back. You might feel betrayed, even a little foolish for trusting him. What if I told you there was a class in TF2 that perfectly portrays this depiction of the devil? Because that class is the Spy.
See? Red! No, wait. That's blood.
So, we still got problem.
Big problem. All right. Who's ready to go find this spy?
Right behind you.
Spy is either the most feared class in the game, or the most sadly comedic. See, Spy's effectiveness on a team is most dependent on the player's skill and their ability to play mind games and lie. His whole dynamic with the enemy team is to blend himself in and act like a member of that team to infiltrate the backlines and sabotage their defenses with his sapper, or quite literally insta-kill someone with a backstab from his knife. Now, you could fall into what's called Spy Syndrome, but I'll talk more about that later, along with Spy's many weaknesses. Just know that, in a perfect world, Spy is a very good class for whittling down the enemy's defenses and clearing the way for the team to push into the enemy base. At base, Spy's a light class through and through, sporting 125 HP. Interestingly, his speed is variable depending on who he's disguised as, but his speed never rises above 107% of normal, just enough to be able to catch up with and overtake a sniper, engineer, pyro, etc. Speaking of disguises, Spy's able to do that to fulfill his infiltrator/saboteur role, which is what I was getting at the beginning of the video after the warning. He can cloak to sneak around easier, where the only way you'd see him is if you happen to shoot him or bump him, among other things. We'll talk about this later. Finally, he can natively see enemies' health like with Medic's Solemn Vow, which can help with target priority and, well, choosing targets. Spy's a lot like Demo Knight in a way. He's most effective in melee range when he can do a certain thing with his knife. I mentioned before that Spy is a saboteur, and that's the kind of mindset you should go into Spy with, or at least have it be part of your mindset. Spy is there to punish inattentive players and whittle the enemy team's defenses down, either by killing them, by sapping enemy engineer buildings, being annoying on the objective, or all three. He's a lot like Sniper in a way, only in melee range and having a lot of riskier plays. Let's go over his kit one by one and break this down. Spy has a revolver as his primary weapon, and this thing eats. Just like the pistol and SMG, it fires a perfectly accurate first shot, then the bullet spread kicks in. It's only got 6 shots in the barrel, so it doesn't fire as fast as the pistol or SMG, but depending on the distance to the target, the revolver does anywhere from 21 to 60 damage. You can clean up an entire heavy in just 5 shots at point blank range, assuming you decide against using your knife for whatever reason, and still have a bullet left over to chip away one of his teammates. Another thing to mention, Spy has a gun that he can shoot people with outside of his melee range. Look at that! I'm able to kill this bozo without needing to get into melee range. Oh my god, I can shoot people with this primary weapon. Look at that! Right, well, now that I've gotten the frustration of Spies not realizing they can shoot people with their primary weapon out of my system, let's briefly go over the Invis Watch. This is how Spy really works into his infiltrator role. On a right click with any of your weapons out, you almost immediately turn invisible. There is a bit of a period where you're just barely visible as you cloak, so don't expect to just blip out of eyesight in one go. For the duration of 10 seconds, you go completely invisible to the enemy team and just barely visible to your own teammates. While being invisible, you can slip into the enemy's backlines and into their base, where you have several options open to you, especially if you disguise yourself while cloaked. You could spy, hey, that's the name of the show, on the enemy's defenses and their team composition. You could make your way to an enemy engineer's sentry nest and try to backstab the engineer and sap his buildings, both of which we'll talk about later. You could go for a distraction play, like picking up the intel on a capture the flag map, or standing on a control point, to force the enemy team to send a couple of people to kill you, which can free up some pressure for your team on the front lines. You could check on enemy medics and see how much Uber they're at. Spy's actually a surprisingly versatile class when he's not in direct combat. Wow, you'd think he's a support class or something. Anyways, another interesting thing to mention about the Invis watch that helps it stick out from the other watches is that you can actually refill your cloak by picking up ammo boxes, allowing you to stay cloaked for longer and get deeper into enemy lines. There are some drawbacks though. For one, fire will show on your person if you're suffering from afterburn, making Pyro's more or less Spy's hard counter, and that's not even counting Pyro's teammates jumping in to dance on your charred corpse. For two, liquids will also show through your cloak, like Jarate, bleeding, mad milk, water, the like. For as long as you're dripping wet, people will be able to track you if they're eagle-eyed enough. Though it is possible for you to slip away since the liquids are just subtle enough for enemies to not realize you're gone. Before moving on, it's important to mention that cloaking actually halves the time of status effects. For instance, you'll be on fire under the effects of Jarate for 5 seconds in full instead of 10. Lastly, bumping into people not only helps them realize a spy's there due to enemies' bodies behaving like walls, but your cloak also blips out for as long as contact is maintained. If enemies are paying close attention, you're probably a goner. Alright, okay, finally we're moving on. Let's talk briefly about the Sapper. The Sapper is very simple. It saps the health of engineer buildings. It also weirdly is considered a building of its own according to TF2's code. Okay. When placed on an Eng's building, which you can do while disguised, though not while cloaked, it disables the building and starts depleting its health at a rate of 25 HP per second. It also grants what's called Sapper Armor to the affected building, which gives it a little bit of resistance to damage. The Ng can easily remove the Sapper with a few wrench swings, but if the Ng is particularly stubborn, or stupid, he'll just keep whacking the Sapper off in a war of attrition, though Spy basically always wins that war. The smart thing to do on the Ng's part is to kill or chase away the Spy first, then whack the Sapper off. But while, say, his sentry is disabled, the Spy can stab or shoot the Ng to death, or his team will run in and overwhelm the Ng's sentry nest and destroy all his buildings, resulting in lost ground. I actually really like the idea of Spy not just being some stabbing menace and just being a saboteur. It's really nice. The Disguise Kit. It allows Spy to disguise himself as either team. That's basically it. There are a few things I can say when it comes to disguises though. If the Spy disguises as a member of his own team and runs in with the push before going to the flank, he could potentially fool the enemy into lowering their mental spy shields because, well, they don't see a spy here. Then Spy can redisguise as a member of the enemy team, say a scout or sniper, and make his way to where the enemy is, acting like those classes would to blend in and go for the kill. I really want to emphasize that. When disguising as a member of the enemy team, try to have two mindsets at once. Recognize that you're playing Spy, but try to move like your disguised class would. As an example, there's no reason for a sniper to go towards an NG sentry nest, so that's immediately suspicious. A sniper would be right at home far away from the action on the battlements, so it wouldn't be suspicious at all, and that would be a good time to enact your strategy. You can also change disguises while disguised, so you may want to do that in order to keep the enemy guessing. It's important to note that enemies can still spy check through your disguise. Their liquids can soak you, they can bump into you, and their fire-based weapons can still set you ablaze. There's a whole system of risk and reward with disguises, though that goes for Spy as a whole. I know some of you are screaming at me to get to this final part of Spy's kit, so let's go over Spy's knife, his bread, and probably not butter if it's working. The knife at face value is a standard melee weapon, only difference being it does 40 damage at base, just 5 damage above Scout's bat. If the story ended there, this would be a terrible melee weapon. But let's try to think about positioning. In the context of a shooter game, what's the best place to attack someone? In their backside, where they can't see you and can't counterattack easily. And here's the thing. The knife does a funny thing when you attack someone's back. When they say you're a backstabber, they are kidding. Getting behind someone with your knife and backstabbing them is the main draw of Spy. It doesn't matter how much health the enemy has. A backstab from the knife will kill them, no questions asked. The only surefire way to prevent a Spy's backstab from killing is either through Sniper's Razorback or through invincibility like with Bonk or Ubercharge. Backstabbing is really weird in TF2. Ignoring hit rush to say you can go wind somewhere else, as long as your knife hits the enemy's back, they're dead. But the range at which you can backstab is a bit weird. See, the range of a backstab is 180 degrees with melee range behind an enemy, but it can get a bit janky. If you stab someone's side, as long as it's on the half of the side on the enemy's back, it's a backstab. But let's say an enemy has caught you out and is engaging in melee combat with you. Yeah, you could just slice him to death with regular knife swings, but sometimes you get a backstab from not the back. Face stabs are typically happenstance and not very reliable. Like, yeah, you could come out on top from the game's jank just deciding you win the fight, but in general, face stabs aren't the ideal way to play Spy. He's not meant to be a head-to-head class. Spy's not really a tank. We'll get to you. Before we continue to Spy's practical use in-game, I want to briefly go over a goofy little series of techniques called trick stabs. Trick stabs are typically what seasoned Spy players roll out when they're caught out and know that their revolver is probably not going to win the fight. Trick stabs require usage of either the surrounding environment / map geometry or trickery to get into a position where you can backstab. 3 such trick stabs are Matador stabs, making the enemy think you're going to strafe one way but strafing the other way at the last second. Stair stabs, where you climb up some stairs or a ramp or something, then jump above the enemy and land behind them for a stab. And corner stabs, where you round a corner and hide just out of view and stab your pursuer as he passes. Trick stabs are more so last resort moves to get you out of a very tight spot, but they are pretty flashy and a nice way to style on your enemies. So, in practice, Spy's a lot like a reverse sniper. Rather than be far away from the enemy lines and picking off key targets from a long distance, Spy is meant to be an infiltrator and a specialist in melee range when the enemy can't see him, or not realize that teammate of theirs isn't who he claims to be. Like I mentioned before, a Spy should focus on being an infiltrator and pick off key targets, like a medic or a demo man or someone else giving the team some trouble. Ideally, a good Spy should assess the game state and think, who's giving the team the most trouble right now? For some examples, medics are typically a Spy's primary target given their ability to keep a fight going indefinitely and enable God mode, though snipers are never a bad choice, especially if they're good, given that they can pick your team off from afar. If there's a particularly cumbersome sentry nest, Spy is the only class who can actually walk into the nest without needing to break anything or be invincible. A relatively niche but effective strategy to use if you know there's no way a stab and sapper tool will cut it is to let your team know the situation through voice chat or text chat. If there's 2, maybe 3 engineers tending the nest, it may be in your best interest to either let your team's power classes deal with it or lighten the load a bit by using the red tape recorder. I mean, there's not much else that sapper is good for anyway. Because Spy is such a flexible class, I can't really give any real offense or defense advice. Spy on his own is solid no matter which side he's on. More than anything, I recommend sticking to going after specific key targets and keeping an eye on the game state in any extant sentry nests. If you can't be a threat, at least be a pest. Even the slightest bit of relief pressure on your team will mean that a Spy has done his part. Luckily for me, this time around, we don't have a whole lot to go over in terms of weapon unlocks. To start things off with his primaries, there's the Ambassador. The Ambi is kinda sorta what you would get if you made the sniper a short to medium range class. Now, if we were just going by a glance at the stats, it's a direct downgrade to stock. Less damage overall, more aggressive damage fall-off that even persists through crits, and a slower firing speed to start. But the upside and draw of this weapon is what makes it really nice. This weapon can headshot. Technically. While your headshots aren't as powerful as snipers, they are still very significant. At their maximum, at close range, your headshots deal 102 damage, enough to kill a soldier after 2 shots. And at long range, your headshots still aren't anything to sneeze at 54 damage. This makes the ambi very useful when you're outed as a spy and started getting chased down. With that said, you can't just headshot willy-nilly. There is a bit of a recharge time between headshots, indicated by the size of your crosshair. Plus, your shots become less accurate while it's charging. Ultimately, this is a pretty solid choice for spies with at least a medium skill level when it comes to aiming, and in a pinch, when you're caught out, it could be the difference between living to stab another day or doing time in the respawn queue. The L'étranger is my revolver of choice. Now, the L'étranger is not meant for fighting directly, since it does 20% less damage in general. In other words, you're only doing 32 damage at base, meaning it takes an entire clip to kill a medic, for instance. But this thing is wonderful for cloaking, as not only does each shot that hits reward you with 15% cloak charge, it also increases your cloak duration by 40%. You guessed it, this is a utility weapon. Now, a famous quote by Theodore Roosevelt goes, "Speak softly and carry a big stick. You will go far." Classically, he meant this as a reference to flexing American military prowess by getting in, winning wars, and getting out, but I'm pretty sure he time traveled, played TF2, and picked spy with this revolver, then went back and said this quote. By speak softly, he meant the 32 HP of damage. By big stick, he meant this gun. By going far, he meant how long and how often you're going to be invisible with this thing. There are caveats to this weapon though. Namely, it doesn't play nice with the Dead Ringer, which is probably why you hardly ever see this gun because every friggin' spy ever uses the Dead Ringer, since the cloak drain of the Dead Ringer nullifies the additional cloak duration of the L'étranger, making it a weaker stock revolver that can gain cloak back on hit. The Enforcer is underwhelming. Now, it seems alright on paper, since you get a 20% damage bonus if you fire it while disguised, making it a one-trick pony every time you disguise. On top of that, it ignores the damage resistances of items like the Vaccinator or Battalion's backup charges. This is all in exchange for a 20% slower firing speed. There's another drawback though. The Enforcer does not penetrate Sapper armor, which is the 33% damage resistance that sapped sentries get against spies while being sapped, so you're doing less damage to the sentry overall. Alright, so use this only on players, right? Well, kinda. See, Spy's main class function against players, that is, backstabbing, mostly invalidates the existence of the Enforcer. The damage bonus isn't that useful at longer ranges given the damage will only receive a slight boost, and at closer ranges where it's more significant, why not just stab someone? I mean, I guess it's kinda sorta useful against Razorback snipers, but at that point, just use the Ambassador, which does the same damage whether you're disguised or not, and can also deal crits with headshots. Ugh. This weapon is just confusing. Let's move on. I'm very thankful that the Diamondback isn't that common. In design, the Diamondback is very similar to the Frontier Justice. For each backstab and sap building, you gain 1 crit shot. In other words, doing basic class functions rewards you with triple damage that you can spend at your leisure. This is in exchange for 15% less damage. Ordinarily, I wouldn't mind this, only one thing. The Diamondback gets its crits without Spy having to sacrifice something. See, the Frontier Justice requires Engineer to lose his sentry, willingly or not, in order to get the crits, leaving him and his team vulnerable on top of the tough love of the Frontier Justice's innate downsides. The Diamondback, all it has is just a small damage penalty, and that's it. There's no clip size downside, no needing to be undisguised to fire the crits, which can be hidden while disguised since the gun's glow doesn't reflect through the disguise, no cloak duration downside. It just feels unbalanced in favor of the Spy using it. All Spy has to do is just be effective and boom, he's got the might of Zeus. Thankfully, Spy mains the world over are attached to the Ambassador, so the Diamondback just kinda meanders under the radar. Good. The Cloak and Dagger. So this one works a bit differently than the other watches. Rather than being on a timer, the Cloak and Dagger's cloak drains based on your movement, directly proportional to your speed. Now, because of this mechanic, if you're standing still, your cloak will never run out, and will actually recharge even while it's in use. Plus, the recharge is twice as fast as the regular Invis watch, so you'll be cloaking more often with this equipped. The downsides are that cloak is a bit more precious, given that you can't recover it from ammo boxes while invisible, and you get 35% less cloak back from ammo boxes on top of that. As well, when your cloak runs out, you only remain partially cloaked, with the same consistency as when you bump into an enemy. Still, it's a great tool for a more passive and methodical playstyle, as you sit in the background observing the fight and wait for the right time to strike, which is more difficult to do with stock. With the other watches, once your cloak runs out, you either need to make your play now or hope that no one sees or hears you behind enemy lines. The Cloak and Dagger is nice for just getting deep into enemy lines if ammo boxes are rather scarce. The red tape recorder... Oh man, it tries. It really tries. Anyway, instead of draining the health of buildings, it instead unbuilds them all the way down until they're back in the toolbox, whereupon they're counted as destroyed. If the building is downgraded, it has to be upgraded all over again. Thing is, since the red tape recorder doesn't actually damage buildings, if an NG is fast enough to destroy it before it gets a chance to downgrade, which granted is hard for an NG to do, it doesn't get downgraded at all. The damage is undone instantly. Plus, it takes a lifetime of a black hole before the recorder finishes sapping from level 3. A level 3 sentry takes about 10.7 seconds to completely downgrade, while something like a level 3 dispenser or teleporter, 21.4 seconds. This thing's only kinda sorta maybe useful in two situations: self-destruct plays and against gunslinger NGs. In self-destruct plays, where you have a massive nest of buildings that you know stab and saps can't save you from, this can at least downgrade those buildings for your team to have less pressure dealing with, since a million level 2 sentries are easier to deal with than a million level 3 sentries. Against gunslingers, those NGs will usually slam down another mini sentry right after the previous one is destroyed, so this at least ensures he can't put another one down for a while and it won't be doing anything as it's disabled. Apart from those two specific situations, just use the regular sapper, the results will be much more worth it. I adore the Big Earner. Honestly, it's probably my favorite knife. Now, its singular downside of minus 25 max health is very significant. At 100 max HP, many weapons can now one-shot you, like grenades, every shotgun, a scout's melee crit. It's some real tough love there. But if there's one word to describe the Big Earner, it's speed. For every kill, you get 30% of your cloak back plus a speed boost. And yes, the speed boost is granted even if you don't backstab the enemy, as long as the Big Earner deals the finishing blow. The idea with the Big Earner is that you're meant to get in, get a stab, and immediately get out, since Spy's post-backstab survivability is a bit notoriously lacking. Alternatively, for riskier plays, you can use the speed boost to go back in, i.e. for a chain stab. There's really not a whole lot to the Big Earner, but man, can it be fun to just play Spy on fast forward. Again, speed's the name of the game. You move fast, you get cloak back fast, and you die. Really, really fast. The Your Eternal Reward is goofy. Ordinarily with this weapon, disguising consumes all of your cloak at once, and your cloak needs to be full for this unless you're in a spawn room. On top of that, your cloak drains 33% faster with this equipped. In exchange, your backstabs do a funny thing. You instantly disguise as your victim, and your backstab is completely silent. Though interestingly, any kills you get with the Your Eternal Reward are silent, so basically, you trade proficiency in cloaking for proficiency in disguising. This sounds great, but cloaking is such an essential part of Spy that losing proficiency in it is painful. You kinda just have to hope that the enemy doesn't notice you on the backlines or you get a trick stab. Still, this knife could be worse. Because of the silent backstabs, plus the lack of your kill in the enemy team's kill feed, this makes the Your Eternal Reward very useful for chain stabs, as you stab multiple enemies because they understandably don't hear you coming. This knife isn't that good, but hey, it could be worse. Hey you! Yeah, you. Do you hate pyros with every fiber of your being? Do you dislike getting shut down the moment a flame particle grazes you? Then let me introduce you to the Spycicle. When you're hit by a puff of flame, be it from a pyro, hualong heater heavy, a Halloween spell, or the environment, you gain 1 second of immunity from fire damage and danger shield style immunity from afterburn for 10 seconds. If the story ended there, this weapon would be horribly unbalanced. But here's the thing. When you're hit by fire, you lose use of the Spicicle for 15 seconds or until you pick up an ammo box. This means you're without a knife for, at most, 15 seconds, and lots can happen in 15 seconds when you're down your insta-killing machine and have only your gun to rely on, which has to reload. On top of this, your backstab turns your victim to ice, which sounds neat until you realize that pale blue lifelike statue can alert the enemy team to the presence of an enemy spy. Regardless, this is a nice weapon when you're dealing with a very persistent pyro or otherwise dealing with fire damage left and right. I decided to save Spy's 2 most pretentious weapons for last because, God, I hate fighting these weapons. Starting with the Dead Ringer. Honestly, this damn thing is so commonly equipped by spies everywhere that going over it just feels redundant, but whatever. Anyway, the Dead Ringer doesn't cloak, at least not under regular conditions. Upon Spy taking any damage whatsoever at full charge and holding this watch out, the Dead Ringer will leave a fake Spy corpse behind while giving the Spy invisibility, speed, and damage resistance for a short time. Your cloak lasts considerably longer and regenerates 50% faster. The damage reduction is 75%, so a lot of would-be fatal blows just don't kill you, meaning the Dead Ringer, more often than not, is a get-out-of-jail-free card. Unless the spy is using the kunai, which of course he will be because every freaking spy main on the planet uses the kunai, even a fully charged headshot won't bring you down unless it's from the Machina. Your death also replicates and fakes many different game mechanics, but if I were to go into every single one, we'd be here longer than the duration of the Siege of Leningrad. The only 2 downsides are that your cloak meter is halved when the death feint is activated, plus your decloaks are louder than a rocket blasting off. The Dead Ringer is also extraordinarily buggy, such as sometimes playing the decloak sound for you twice. The sound it makes might also rupture your eardrums, but that's okay, a lot of people don't bother using their ears in this game anyway. More than anything, I just wish the damage reduction was reduced to 50% or something. Ugh. The Conniver's Kunai. Now, my tone of voice isn't meant to say this is a bad weapon. Oh no, this is a fantastic weapon in the hands of a decent to good spy. The kunai is just infuriating to deal with. That said, I'm going to stay as objective as possible. At first glance, the kunai seems awful. You start out with minus 55 base max HP, totaling at just 70. This is the smallest maximum health pool in the entire game. Any significant amount of burst damage will send you to respawn in a flash. But on getting any backstab, you absorb at least 75 health from your victim, which comes back to you as overheal, maxing out at 210 HP. Basically, you don't have to do any target priority with this thing. Stab everyone at your leisure. Any damage you take is just going to be instantly healed back. This weapon turns Spy into a stealthy tank, which I mean, I guess is neat, but this is still infuriating to play against since a good kunai spy just refuses to die. Combine this with the Dead Ringer, which also gives you a damage resistance on Cloak and gives you the speed of a full-headed Demo Knife for a few seconds, plus the fact that every friggin' spy main on the planet has a Dead Ringer surgically attached to their left hands, and you have a spy that not only can take metric ass loads of damage, but can also cover a lot of distance. More than anything, I just want to see the kunai nerfed. I think instant overheal is a ridiculously imbalanced mechanic. Hi Zatoichi. I think the overheal should build up to max like you're being healed by a medic. Maybe lower the max overheal to 200. I don't know why it's 210. And there we go. That's the Spy in a nutshell. Spy is a very difficult class to play, make no mistake. I mean, a lot of times you'll just die due to happenstance or being in the wrong place at the wrong time, and other times your backstabs will just not. But while sometimes the best thing you can do with Spy is not play Spy, on those occasions when you can, just try. Those dead medics or heavies or soldiers with holes in their backs might be exactly what the team needs to push through and cap, or push back and defend. And with that, there aren't any more classes in TF2. That's it, right? The LP is over? Not quite. Next time on Let's Play Team Fortress 2, I'm going to go over the weapons I ignored on Scout, Soldier, and Pyro, as well as any other topics I've missed, and ways to spice up your game a bit. After that, well, this massive project will be at an end. See you guys in the next episode. Get out of here. Uh-oh. Oh boy. Something like Pyro or fucking Demo would be great for this.
Where the fuck did the scout come from?
That's what I get.
Alright,
What did you do?
I got him with a random crit. At least he's pretty good.
what the
That's
fuck
fine.
is happening?
That's fine. As long as he doesn't turn around. What? You. That works. We take those.
Welcome to the dominate.
That was a face stab.
What are you talking about? That was an over-under CQC Matador random Latin word I threw in that sound smart stab.
I fucking heard you decloak too.
I didn't. All I did was, huh?
God, fucking damn, you had to have a Razorback? God, that was so
Oh my
clean.
God, thank you, medic.
And he had to have a Razorback? Come on, man. I get 2 days off a week. What the f- I hate life.
Alright,
Fine,
let's go.
we take those.
Let's go. For a fucking spot. What the fuck am I getting
What
stuck on?
the?
No, it's because
Where
I'm
did-
seeing
what-
a step that's
huh?
moving
I
slower
saw
than
me.
usual.
Hi.
I'm scared, Mom. Come pick me up. Oh, God. No!
Dilly-dally,
Oh, what the? Well, I don't know how, but you're gonna get donked. Oh, that's unfortunate. Okay, never mind. It's
We gotta
it's
go
fine.
fast and
No!
eat ass
Like a boss.
something other than the
What? Where did you come
What's
from?
this guy?
Going to
Just
kick your
appears
ass.
out of nowhere like a friggin' JoJo antagonist. Oh, there's my anime reference.
Faking my death actually.
No, that's not fair, pal. He backtimed me.
Got him!
Going to happen.
This
Cut the
heavy
floor.
is
No! You!
It's like he's not even.
Luckily, he doesn't.
Get
see
that
me.
fuck.
I swear to God, if you turn around, I'm gonna. You! Oh!
Like, oh, please.
Well, we got Florida Man at least.
At least
My
we got
son-
Fool!
Florida.
I use my speed boost smartly to escape. I had 7 backstabs. So. Oh. No, I'm not making it through this one.
It's a little
just need
difficult to come
someone
lunge
fucking
walk
go
over
to
the
the
hand.
side.
I currently can't watch
No!
everything that you guys are doing because you're pro.
What the f? You should be dead. You should be no. Well, at least I got a
It
century.
set it up on.
Hell, you little bastard.
Oh, fuck's sake, bruv. Come on.
Fuck you, Florida man. I got you.
You lost me, pal.
Oh,
No, that's
me.
Oh, never mind. We're good.
Wait, why am I disguised as myself as an enemy pyro? What the hell?
Dumbass fucking spy.
I could have stabbed that spy. Yeah.
I'm sorry, what?
Kill streak bigger.
Oh!
than Enforcer.
Get his ass. Get him. Get him. Get him, boy. Oh
I
God.
couldn't. I missed my one shot.
Wait, is that a crit screen I saw?
You were late
Is that
by 2
fucking running a
steps.
crit?
I was above 50.
Magical
What
bullshit. Also, I think they're using
I don't-
Charged.
No,
Charged it up a
why?
little bit.
It was stock.
fire fucking shot the set fire. I just felt like it.
What the hell?
You kind of walked into that one, Enos.
Die too.
Oh!
I got him.
He's got the Razorback!
No!
All the
Damn it!
connectivity
No.
issues
See,
I've
here's
had.
the thing. That Razorback sniper didn't have Razorback before. He had the Danger Shield.
Oh yeah,
He had 6
that's
spies.
right, he
Help.
did! Oh my God!
He put it on after I stabbed him once.
As soon as I get stabbed
took
one
away
time,
his
the
almost
Razorback
godlike.
is coming
He-
out.
He was
Oh my
at
fucking
godlike, and I stabbed him once. Oh, this is me.
Finally,
I'm
we
real.
have
I'm
more
the
spies.
Come on! Dude!
More spies.
I got... Wait, that's another... Why are there two deer? What the f... One of them's my friend, but the other one is...
the server to go full?
Huh?
Is he trying to convince your team to go full in